is Justice Cecilia Githua, a daughter of this family by extension, together with my sister here, Nina Ishongwa. To give you a little bit of context, I've known Mzee Ishongwa for the longest time, actually for over 35 years. He is one of the business leaders who welcomed me to Kikuyu in the year 1989, when, as a very young girl, fresh from college, I was posted to work at the Kikuyu Law Courts as a magistrate. He held my hand and made me feel welcome. Over the years, he has guided and helped me grow in all aspects of my life. He has not only been my good friend and mentor, but also a father. Over the years, because of our close relationship, he incorporated my husband and I into his family, and therefore I give this accolade as a daughter of Mzee. You will kindly allow us. I know that it is a little bit long, but Your Excellency, I am sure you appreciate that to reduce the story of a man who God has blessed to live for over a century is not an easy task, to reduce it into just a few pages. But we will summarize it as much as we can. And with your permission now, Your Excellency, we will proceed to read the accolade. We are gathered here today as family and friends of the late Mzee Isaac Ichong'wah Goge, not only to mourn his passing, but more importantly, to remember and celebrate the beautiful gift of his life. Our hearts are heavy with loss, but they are also full of gratitude for the time that we were blessed to share with him. Mzee Ishong'wah was a remarkable man, born in 1920 in Chepkechei, a small village then christened Shegeshe, near Tinga Farm in modern-day Kipkelion West constituency, Kericho County. He was the son of the late Josiah Goge Warari and the late Wanjiro Goge, brother to the late Elizabeth Wadai Goge and the late Jacob Moirori Goge. He was a stepson, he was a stepbrother to many. Mzee Ishong'wah's story is a testament of resilience, perseverance, hard work, focus, and sheer determination to succeed in the midst of adversity. He is a story of humble beginnings and triumphant success, making his legacy a powerful example of resilience and hope for future generations.
My father was born in colonial Kenya and dispossessed of land and all their wealth by white settlers and exiled from home. Young Ishong'wah was not lucky, as he also lost his mother at a tender age, and he learned to fend for himself at an early age, childhood. When he was a young boy, my dad got ill from a strange illness, and he used to tell us that at that particular time, because there was no modern medicine and there were no hospitals, the practice was that you be left in the thickets or the forest or the bushes to be eaten by wild animals. And that is exactly what they did. They went and left him somewhere in the bushes to be eaten by wild animals. His brother, his elder brother, would go and check on him, listen to his pulse, then go and report to my grandfather that even if you guys threw Ishong'wah to be eaten, he hasn't died yet. And my grandfather authorized that they go and bring him back, and he was brought back, he recovered, and the next time my dad got ill was when he was 101 years old.
As a child without a mother and as he struggled through life, Mzee told us of instances where the family faced starvation, and having seen his dead mother sleeping peacefully, he would often wish he would die and pray to God to give him peace of death instead of the biting pangs of hunger that he often suffered. He would tell us that he wished to die and join his mother Wanjiro, not because he understood what death really meant, but because he wanted to escape the punishing pain of hunger. As a young man, Mzee struggled to eke a living. He moved from Kipkelion in search of employment and went to Kapsabet, where he was employed as a driver in the tea farms. However, like his parents, he later lost everything he worked for after being driven out by colonialists. He was forcefully resettled in a colonial village in Kikuyu, then known as Geshagi Naba Idato, concentration camp number 3, here in Gekambura during the state of emergency. But luckily, he did not leave Kapsabet with absolutely nothing, because he got himself a new bride as a second wife, having agreed with his first wife, the late Rahab Wajiko Ishongwa. That new bride is no other than our beloved mother, Mary Mombi, who is now blessed to be 85 years of age. And now with 2 wives and a family, the young Ishongwa quickly had to reestablish himself, and he got a job at the Alliance High School as a driver and later ventured into business. His first business or hustle was vending cigarettes on a bicycle, and he became so committed at his work that he was later appointed as a BAT distributor when he started his first retail shop at Gekabura Shopping Center.
His business life and firm belief in God. Mzee was baptized on 24th December 1972 in Thogoto Parish by Right Reverend Justus Kuria Wahuria, and was at the time of his demise a full member of the church. He confidently spoke about his blessings, and he would share a story about how God blessed him through a strange animal. One day while he was herding his father's goats, he heard a roaring sound coming from the skies. He looked up, there was no rain, and a strange creature, fell to the ground from the skies. He had never seen such a creature. According to him, it was pitch black with shimmering bright eyes, and my dad was scared. He looked at this creature. The creature looked back at him, and he was scared, shooed away his animals, and went home. According to Mzee, that creature had been sent by God to bless him. As he continued to struggle in life, he told us that there was a time he was arrested for possessing a 100-shilling note during the colonial times, because it was unheard of for an African to have that kind of money at that particular time.
Mzee would later diversify from his retail business and venture into the meat industry. He established a very successful butchery and also established the first abattoir in Kikuyu town at Makutano. His knowledge of meat was so profound that he was able to tell an animal that had sickness just by looking at its blood or throwing a small piece of its meat into the fire. It is through his businesses as a meat supplier that he met with the late former president, Daniel Arap Moi. He would quickly earn the president's trust to the extent that he started getting livestock from his farms on credit. And owing to his honesty and strong business ethics, the late President Moi would often say to many of his political friends that it is only Mzee Goge, as he used to call him, he was the only businessman he could sell his cows to on credit. This earned Mzee more friends in Moi's administration, including cabinet ministers and MPs, many of whom entrusted him with livestock purchases from their farms. Throughout his life, Mzee experienced significant successes, fostering unity within his family and community. His ability to turn difficulties into opportunities not only shaped his personal achievements, but also positively impacted those that were around him. Mzee inducted and mentored his children into businesses, as well as a large number of his associates and friends. It is out of this mentorship and induction into the meat business that most, if not all of his children, has had a stint in the meat industry. During the COVID-19 pandemic, which he used to call korota in Kikuyu. He did not wear a single mask. While the rest of us struggled to breathe under the nose masks, Mzee continued with his daily activities as usual. He would often say that God is not a con man. He cannot protect me all these years only to have a stupid illness like corona kill me.
Mzee was a cross-cultural person, and he worked very well with every community. He had no tribal boundaries. He was fluent in many, many languages: Luya, Kalenjin, and I believe, Your Excellency, the first time you met Mzee, you talked Kalenjin with him. Kamba, he was fluent in Kamba, Luo, among many others. Out of this character, Mzee endeavored to see the good of each and every individual and judged everyone on the basis of merit and character and not where they came from or their social status.
Armed with this linguistic prowess, as a businessman, he was able to bargain with people in their mother tongues and easily connected with people from diverse backgrounds. Having established a career in livestock trade, while on a business trip to buy livestock in the Rift Valley, he reconnected with his long-term teenage years girlfriend, the late Pauline Tabarino, daughter of Kipsuge Arap Koronyi, who had been refused to marry him in their early years. She had by then gotten married by someone else, had children, and separated with the husband. Rekindling their old love, he took her as his third wife, raised and educated her 8 children as his own. That was the kind of man Mzee was. He raised us together with these children as one family, a statement of the unifying pillar that Mzee has been to his family. It is upon us now to carry on with this legacy of unity, love, and togetherness as a family, as he desired. In other instances, in his indiscriminate service to humanity extended but was not limited to such humble gestures as the following.
I will just share highlights of the humble gestures that our father would do. And around us, I think if you look around, you can see Maasai community. And during dry seasons, Mzee would fill mitungis with water and have this water delivered to the Maasais in Kajiado and Suswa. And out of this, the Maasai actually urged him to vie as a member of parliament in that area. Most of his Maasai friends actually named their children after him. You'll hear in Maasai land, Gogi Ole Mlasmi, Gogi Ole Kunguru, which can be testified by Ole Punywa Mugu. I think he's somewhere here. He can testify to the fact that this is what's happening. Wamasai oye! There they are. In matters education, Mzee never had a formal education. He educated himself up to class 2, but he took his siblings, all his father's children, through school, and he among other Kikuyu business community leaders, established the Kikuyu Township Primary School, which serves Kikuyu up to today. Just next to us is a private state-of-the-art school, the Green Garden, and Mzee, as a board member in the education, also urged the board to approve the license for the Green Garden, and when it was established, his grandchildren were the only pupils in that school, and the director would wait for Mzee's check to be able to pay the teachers. Mzee, after God blessed him with a car, he would never leave anyone on the road, and his pickup would be patronized by many people to and fro. And one morning when he was going to Dagoretti slaughterhouse, he lifted a couple and remembered that years back, this man had given him a lift. And he told this gentleman, even if you wanted to go to Mombasa, I would have taken you there. Mzee was generous. My mother and Mzee operated an open door policy. Anybody who has visited our home, our gate is always wide open. They come here and you are served and they will talk to you, sometimes even accommodating con men and con women, but they still welcome them in there. we are the people who bring trouble. Mzee also used to lend a helping hand to young entrepreneurs, and most people can attest to their business prowess because Mzee mentored them. Mzee was also very compassionate, and when his brother was displaced because of various activities, he housed them for 7 years at home, and when his brother died, Mzee took his children, educated all of them, and built them a modern home in Kampiamoto, Nakuru. In as far as his social life is concerned, his staple food was purely roasted meat, nyama choma, and cold soda, specifically black currant, and ice-cold water. Mzee never ate vegetables. He never drank alcohol. So the doctors can tell us what is the secret when they keep on saying nyama choma, avoid, and vegetables. He loved horse racing. He started going to the jockey club in 1955, and he also loved animals. He didn't keep animals for commercial purposes, but he kept them for sentimental values, and Mzee was also an outstanding driver. He stopped driving himself at the age of 95, and that is when he got himself a driver, Simon Jogu, who is with us today. Jogu would not drive a manual car because Mzee never drove automatic cars or second-hand cars. So he mentored Jogu, showed him how to maneuver a manual car, and today Jogu can actually attest to his driving skills to Mzee.
As the chairman of the larger Gogi family, his mantra was love and unity in the family. He kept repeating this mantra to his family, advising that Adoma menana neko dhena madhenaga. This translated into English means a family disharmony breeds poverty. Today, his family is admired by many for their love and unity. He loved his family and would take every opportunity available to be with them. When his elder brother Jacob visited him, they would burn the midnight oil talking, and at some point, he would tell his brother, Aba otige Jakuvu, riu ona niejarie. Translated into English, this means, hold on, Jacob. Give me a chance to speak now. Their stories were like a series film such that we added the words to be continued because they would never end. His guiding hand and unwavering love built a strong and very loving family. His wisdom, patience, and kindness set a shining example to all who knew him. Mzee will be remembered, not because of how long he lived, but for how he deeply touched and impacted lives. His rich legacy of resilience, patience, love, and unity in families is a lesson we can all learn and emulate. May our God bless him with eternal rest till we meet again in his heavenly abode. Rest well, Dad. Rest well, Granddad, great and great Granddad. And may God bless you all. Thank you.
Let's appreciate them once again.